They traveled for days, leaving behind the lives they had known. The journey was exhausting, but they found solace in each other's presence. Every step away from the village felt like a weight lifting off their shoulders. Along the way, they encountered strangers who were kind, offering food and shelter. Tomiwa and Ewatomi knew they were beginning a new life, one free from the expectations of their families. But they also knew that the road ahead would be difficult. "We'll make it," Tomiwa said one night as they lay under the stars. "We have each other. That's all that matters." Ewatomi smiled, her heart filled with hope for the first time in weeks. "We'll make it," she agreed. Together. Months later, Tomiwa and Ewatomi found a small village far from their home. It was a quiet, peaceful place, and the people there welcomed them without judgment. They built a new life, though the memory of their past still haunted them. In the new village, Ewatomi and Tomiwa slowly began to heal. They started a family, and the love they shared grew even deeper with each passing day. They never forgot the sacrifices they made, but they knew they had created something beautiful out of their pain. Despite the love they found in each other, a part of them always felt the loss of their families and the life they had left behind. But they knew they had chosen their own path, and it was theirs alone. Years passed, and they never returned to their village. The elders' disapproval faded into the past, but Tomiwa and Ewatomi had found their peace. They had paid the price for their love, but they had gained everything they truly needed. In the quiet of the village, under the same stars that once witnessed their secret meetings, Tomiwa and Ewatomi's love finally felt free. They had faced the consequences, and together, they had overcome them. Life in the new village was peaceful, but Ewatomi and Tomiwa knew it was a fragile peace. They had built a life together, but their hearts still ached for the family they had left behind. Despite their happiness, there was always an emptiness. Then came the unexpected message: Chief Olawu, Tomiwa's father, had fallen ill. He had called for his son, his voice hoarse with regret. "Tomiwa, come home. Come home before it's too late." Ewatomi held Tomiwa's hand tightly as they received the news. Tomiwa's heart raced. The anger he had once felt towards his father had softened over time. But what would it mean to return now? Could he face his family after everything? "We must go," Ewatomi said softly, her voice full of wisdom and compassion. "Whatever has happened, we cannot ignore this call. Your father needs you." With mixed emotions, they packed their belongings and set off, unsure of what awaited them back in the village. Would they be received with open arms, or would the divisions between their families remain unhealed? The journey back was long, and with each step, Tomiwa's mind filled with doubt. Ewatomi, on the other hand, was calm, her resolve firm. They had left their village in disgrace, but now, returning felt like a chance for redemption. As they entered the village, everything seemed familiar, yet different. The air was thick with tension, and the people watched them from a distance, murmuring behind closed doors. Tomiwa felt a pang of guilt for not being there when his father needed him most. Chief Olawu's compound was quieter than before, the usual bustle of servants and visitors now replaced with silence. Tomiwa approached cautiously, his heart racing in his chest. He was unsure of what to expect. When he entered the compound, his father lay in bed, pale and frail. Chief Olawu's eyes softened when he saw his son. "You came," he whispered. "I'm sorry for everything, for all the mistakes I made." "It was never your fault, my son." Tomiwa knelt beside his father, the walls of anger he had built around himself slowly crumbling. "I'm sorry too, father. I should have been here sooner." The emotions in the room were raw, and the weight of years of separation began to lift. Chief Olawu's condition worsened, but his heart was clear. He had been struggling with his own regrets and the rift between him and his son. As he lay there, frail and vulnerable, he spoke honestly, something he had never done before. "Tomiwa," he began, his voice weak but steady, "I've been proud and stubborn. I was wrong to keep you from your love. I've been too hard on you, but I want to make things right. You and Ewatomi, you deserve to be happy." Tomowa's eyes filled with tears. The years of bitterness seemed to melt away with his father's words. But there was still the question of how to mend the damage done to the two families. "I don't want you to die with regret, Father," Tomowa said, his voice thick with emotion. "Let us heal together." Ewatomi, who had been standing quietly at the door, stepped forward. She gently placed a hand on Tomowa's father's shoulder. "We can all start again," she said softly. "But it will take time. We must work together for the sake of our families." The decision to heal was not easy. Chief Adibeo, Ewatomi's father, was just as stubborn as Tomowa's. The village had long been divided over the relationship between the two families, and many were reluctant to forgive and forget. But Tomowa and Ewatomi were determined. They spoke to their families, one by one, laying bare the pain they had caused each other. They apologized for their roles in the rift, acknowledging the mistakes they had made and asking for forgiveness. During the reconciliation process, it was uncovered that the grandfathers of Olawu and Adibeo had a long-standing feud stemming from a court dispute over farmland. When the court ruled in favor of Olawu's grandfather, Adibeo's grandfather believed the judgment was influenced by bribery. Feeling betrayed, he vowed never to associate with the Olawu family again. At first, the conversations were tense. But slowly, the walls began to come down. Chief Adibeo, though still proud, could see the sincerity in his daughter's eyes. He had always wanted the best for her, even if his way of showing it had been harsh. One evening, after a long day of difficult conversations, both fathers sat down together. They spoke in quiet voices, acknowledging the love between their children and the need to put the past behind them. Finally, Chief Adibeo spoke, his voice thick with emotion. "Let's set aside our pride. For them. For our children." The weight of years of animosity seemed to lift, and for the first time, it felt like reconciliation was possible. It was a small ceremony, but it was a significant one. The two families came together to celebrate Tomowa and Ewatomi's love, not as a forbidden union but as a symbol of reconciliation and healing. The village, once divided, now stood united in joy. As Tomowa and Ewatomi stood together at the altar, their hands joined, they looked at their families. Their fathers stood side by side, no longer enemies but co-conspirators in the happiness of their children. "You've come a long way," Chief Olawu said to Chief Adibeo, his voice full of pride. "And so have we." Ewatomi smiled up at Tomowa, her eyes shining with tears. "We did it," she whispered. "We brought them together." Tomowa kissed her gently on the forehead. "No, we didn't just bring them together. We brought healing to all of us." As they exchanged vows, there was a sense of closure, of old wounds finally being healed. The love that had once seemed forbidden was now celebrated, not just by Tomowa and Ewatomi, but by the entire village. With their marriage, the healing began in earnest. The village, once divided by prejudice and anger, now thrived on unity and love. Tomowa and Ewatomi became leaders in their own right, not just because of their love, but because of the strength they had shown in bringing their families back together. The families now gathered for festivals, laughed together at the market, and supported each other in times of need. What had once been a scar on the village's history had become a beacon of hope for future generations. The love that had been so forbidden, so lost, was now the foundation of a brighter future for all. Tomowa and Ewatomi's children grew up in a village where love knew no boundaries, where forgiveness was a way of life, and where unity triumphed over division. As they watched their children play under the same stars that had witnessed their struggles, Tomowa and Ewatomi knew that their journey had been worth every sacrifice. They had fought for love, and love had won. And as the years passed, they continued to live together, surrounded by the warmth of their united families, knowing that the past had been left behind and a new chapter had begun.